So now that the state has released its regulations for its medical marijuana program, companies are preparing to vie for a very limited number of licenses. This includes Valley Agriceuticals. Eric Holing is CEO of this organization. He's joining me now along with Shai Avraham Sarid, a founder of Siach, which is a medical cannabis company in Israel, an international leader in this industry. These two gentlemen have partnered in the effort to get this state license, and they are with me now. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Shai, we're going to start with you because I was surprised to learn that Israel is a leader in this market. How did that come to be, briefly?
The program starts, I think, very early. We're one of the first to have a program. And Israel is very open to research. So many types of indication that were researched in Israel for medical cannabis and approved that medical cannabis was approved efficient for them were entered as the, you'll excuse me for my English a bit now.
It's fine. Okay. Continue.
Were entered as a formal indication for medical cannabis in Israel.
And that was years ago, correct?
It started 15 years ago in the beginning. But that's the steady regulation or the more ordered regulation is from, let's say, 2005-06.
So, and also, and I know this because we spoke before we came on the air, but originally people were allowed to grow it for their own personal medical use in their homes, and that has now changed to a more, I don't want to say capitalistic base, but a different distribution system. The government realized that wasn't a system that could be easily maintained.
Yeah, and in the beginning it was very severe diseased people, and they can't grow it properly at home alone, by the way.
Right.
And it was open leakage for other things that could happen. And when they say, okay, we want to go take a program and treat more patients, we can't control it at home for people.
So it's what's fascinating, Eric, to me about this discussion that we're having here is for the longest time when we were debating whether or not to have what's known as the MedMare program in New York, we were talking about whether or not there was actually a sufficient amount of research that it would actually help people, and the research has already been done, apparently. So it seems like we wasted a lot of time.
Well, I think a lot of the research is ongoing, right? And a lot of the early research wasn't performed necessarily as up to IRB standards and that type of thing, double-blind trials and all of that. And so what we're trying to do is really get those standards up and get it so that it's similar to FDA-based research.
Okay,
and that's what we're trying to create, so that again, so we can see then the patient reactions to medical cannabis and the different types of medical cannabis as well.
So so the reason that you two have partnered, I mean, you have a lot of expertise and experience in Israel, and then now you're coming into this wholly new market in the U.S. It's very regulated in New York. I've heard a lot of complaints from advocates. You are not bothered by this.
No, we're actually excited for it because candidly it brings the best and the brightest out, and we believe we're one of those. And if it's too loose, then the misconceptions about medical cannabis that get brought in. And so when you tighten it and you make it non-smokable, you make it non-plant matter to the patients, and you make it gel caps and true medicine, then it takes away that stigma. So we really think that helps.
Yeah, but Shai, I mean, just to be clear, you said that in the beginning in Israel it was very restricted in terms of only people who were extremely ill were able to access, correct?
It still is.
It still is.
Yeah, very.
Is it more restrictive or less restrictive than what we've proposed here? Because the list is quite short in New York.
I think there's a bit more indications, but it's close in the restriction. Israel, they don't want it to become, I think, like Amsterdam.
Right, understood.
This is it is a medicine, and it's taken care in the Ministry of Health. There's a group of doctors that examine every patient that his doctor asks for him for a prescription is passing. There's a group of doctors that checks the medical record and all the history that he's allowed for that. It's not that easy to get medical cannabis in Israel, and it's not something that you want to have as an indication to get the medical cannabis.
Right, you're not hoping to get it so
Yeah.
you can smoke pot, because obviously, and here it's not smokable, as you mentioned.
Correct.
So just to be clear, though, the regulations are out. However, we have not yet heard from the DOH in terms of when you are able to apply for
Correct.
the
At this
license.
point, we're waiting for the RFA to be released.
Okay, have they given you any indication of timeline at this point?
No, not necessarily. It's obviously rumors out there, but nothing concrete.
Okay, well, it would strike me that it's a difficult way to do business. I mean, I just, with lack of information, particularly when
Yeah.
you're trying to get something off the ground, something as controversial or as complex as this, the more information, the better.
And agreed, but at the same time, we're building it like it's going to come tomorrow. And so our operation is going to be completely built out and ready to basically turn the lights on the next day if we're fortunate enough to get the license. So that's why we brought together the best and the brightest, our dream team of medical cannabis experts like Shai. Like when the U.S. thinks about medical cannabis, you think about California and you think about Colorado. When the world thinks about medical cannabis, it's Israel. And when Israel thinks about it, you think about the Siach family. And so we're bringing the Siach family here because they are the best. And we also have other growers from California as well that are the best out there.
What is attractive to you about the New York market? I mean, it seems like the Israeli market is doing just fine.
Yeah, but let's talk about the New York before and then the Israeli. New York takes it as a medicine. This is something that, as it should be, because it's a medicine that's made from a plant. And in New York, they say, okay, we don't want all the extra leaves around it.
Right.
Okay? We want to make a medicine, and we want it for a specific indication, in a specific delivery forms, specific brands. It's very ordered. And we think under this
These rules.
Rules,
Yeah.
regulations.
under this regulation, people can get a real medicine.
So you're not involved anywhere else in the U.S.? Is New York the only place you're involved?
No, we consult a few growers in the U.S., but as a partner, we're involved only in New York.
So was that attractive to you because you had to protect your brand, so to speak, in Israel? I mean, you wouldn't want to be involved in anything that was not as strict as what you already have established, it seems to me.
That's true, but we in Israel, Israel, as we see it, is a research base, more than as you say, running a business. Israel is small.
Right.
But we do a lot of research in Israel. All the technology that we develop in Israel, and now we come to use it outside of Israel.
Right. So there's no restriction on that. You can avail yourself of the information that Siach has already established, because the research here is not great. I mean,
Correct,
and part
yes.
of the reason is because the feds, it's illegal, technically
Correct.
speaking.
And that's what and part of our partnership is actually continuing to do research in Israel in parallel to us building this company and preparing for New York State, right? So we're going to continue to gather data, the right data in the right way, so that we can treat patients the right way with the right cannabis.
Will that research that's conducted overseas, internationally, be recognized here?
We hope so.
You hope
No,
so.
no,
I mean-
it's an official clinical trial. It must be.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a way to do a clinical trial, Helsinki Committee and other things that it's a way every medical institution works. So the clinical trials that are conducted in Israel are fully acceptable all over.
Okay, so unfortunately we're out of time, but we're obviously been reporting on this. We're going to continue to keep an eye on it. We will, if and when you get your license, we will see. We'll have you back in some configuration, and we'll talk again about how things are going. I thank you very much, both of you, for being here.
Thank you.